What's up, everybody? Everybody on Earth on this strange cosmic experiment. Hope you're doing great. I would love if at some point my YouTube channel was a place of great ease and relaxation for those on the journey of seeking clarity, self-clarification, and self-understanding, cosmic understanding, basically self-realization and enlightenment and integration. So today's June 28th, 2025, and the topic on my heart at the moment is it's basically the realization of what I'm doing with my social media at the moment and how I've often felt misunderstood, and even now in hindsight clarity, or at least a little more clear than before, if there's too much importance placed on being understood by others while you're in this karmic excavation that is Dharma, that is Raja Yoga, that is Karma Yoga, then it will be disorienting, because it's basically like that old colloquialism of, I think it's biblical lore, but it's really just spiritual truth, which is you can only serve one master. So if you're serving God by doing your Dharma and then attending to how it must look to others while you're doing it, you betray one. And that is technically what Dharma is, the betrayal of social worship. And on a human level, it's disorienting. It's disorienting because you've chosen to not need validation or a sense of belonging from your friends and your community, and quote unquote, it can be a lonely place. It can be a disorienting place. It is. Ask anybody who has a testimony for God consciousness. It's a disorienting place. So, what am I doing? I've found it. I know God. I don't have belief on a variety of topics. I have integrated understanding that I'm humbled to have. And then the exporting of that understanding is in its own right a different process than having it. Having understanding and exporting understanding through expression, through social service of some kind, is like a different thing. And so I come to social media and I'm expressing these different things, and then this just happened yesterday, 2 days ago, where it was a clip, 60-second clip, where I'm doing these long-form kind of expressions. Some of them are video essays, which I love. Some of them are like this, where I'm just processing. And yeah, selfishly, it helps me to process, but also service-wise, selflessly, it is my intention that me processing some of these existential identity topics can be of service to you. And if it's not of service to you, then it's not of service to you. I know there are people out there that are like me or in a variation of something that I've experienced, which is knowing yourself is easier said than done. And some people, it just comes to them and they're like, they've never even thought about that. I can think of one person right now in my mind, and they've just never even thought about not being confident. They've never even thought about the issue of confidence and total swagger and having ease in clarity of being funny and attitudinally sure of who they are. That's incredible. What an amazing thing. I can think of 5 people real quick in my life who have experienced slight wobbles on the sense of their identity. I can probably think of 5 people who are clear, or quote unquote, not clear, but more sure-footed in their sense of identity. And then 5 people who are less sure-footed. So it's the topic of identity. And to use my identity to talk about the topic of identity is a bit of a quirky, paradoxical thing for me. But I'm reminded that's what I signed up for. That's what I am called to. My Dharma has infused my magnetism to that topic. And so anyways, I'm making these long form, and then I put it in this fantastic AI thing, Opus Clips, or there's another one called Descript, and then it chops it into clips. And God bless, because I get overwhelmed with editing sometimes. It feels I'm like looking at myself too much, and then I start to be like, oh, I don't want to look at me anymore, and cutting it into clips, and that. It's like I've been very much magnetizing teammates to help alleviate some of that tension and pressure and just the feeling of getting bogged down in the process of creating, specifically by editing. Anyways, so there's this one clip out of 5 from this recent video from my trip to LA, and it just admits in this one moment, man, I'm not where I want to be, which I think in this moment is a healthy thing to recognize. I'm not where I want to be. I see where I want to be, and you know what? I'd love more likes on my Instagram. I'd love more views and more listens on my music. Fuck yeah, I would. Are you fucking kidding me? And there's this complicated bridge there between I'm a yogi, I have some clarity on my spiritual reality, and then I'm a person, and I'm supposed to just have faith. Not supposed to for no reason, supposed to because it's true, or because it's energetically clean and more accurate, yeah, but also just feels better because it is more true, etc., etc. One is of the ego, one is of the soul. And so then you take this spiritual clarity and you take it out in the world, and you're like, yeah, but it would be nice to have some type of like confirmation that I'm doing something right. Straight up. I'm a person at the same time that I am a soul. And so I had several people interact with that. And the last time one of these clips was negative, I had several people interact with that. And the crazy thing is, I have more people interact with when I post negative kind of quote-unquote self issues than when it's the positive. So I don't even fully identify as that clip. It's not like I chose that clip and posted it in that day, but I did that even a couple weeks ago with a longer form, like existential process, which overall ended in a very positive tone. But some of what came up is like some just emotional tension I feel with my father, and emotional tension I feel with I'm about to be a father. In August, our firstborn baby boy is coming into this world. So I have all kinds of stuff coming up. And I'm honestly grateful for this process feeling true and feeling right for me to do right now, because in some degree, man, maybe my children will want to see where I was right before I had them, right before they came into this world. I would have loved to see where my dad was right before I came into this world, which I've studied it. But I would have loved to hear him talk to a camera about some of the inward fabrics of his consciousness. He was very hyper exporting his consciousness. And so to me, that's also part of my calling. I come from a family tribal identity that is literally quote unquote successful for outward identity expression. And yet that outward identity expression, although it's caused great success and brand notoriety, that's pretty cool. My dad as a celebrity, there has also been ripples and echoes and traumas internally within the family. Because of that hyper-externalism, there's been very much issues in internality, in the internal environment. There's been suffering in the internal environment because of the external emphasized identity. Does that make sense? Please comment when you're like watching this. Like, if something really intrigues you, I read all the comments, and if you feel like you'd like to see me take a video or take a topic in a certain kind of way, or you resonate, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified when I post. I would love to have a sense of community with you, and there's a newsletter, and we have an online course and a community that we're developing here. So yeah, anyways, I'm dedicated to my own education. Why? Because I want to improve my life, and also I'm aware that if I don't improve my quality of understanding, then qualitatively my children will suffer, per the degree of my own misunderstanding of myself and my misunderstanding of life. There's some term I'm looking for right now. It's something like, as equivalent as I misunderstand life and have belief that's not true, it is equivalent to the degree in which my children will suffer from my misunderstanding, because they will be born inside of a electromagnetic distortion field, a reality distortion field. A belief bubble will enclose them in their sense of reality, and they won't have a sense that it's incorrect until they do. which is probably likely not until they have some degree of whatever that is. They start growing up, basically. Okay, it's way too hot outside. So I have to... Yeah, almost done. Do you need to say something? Yeah, that's the nutshell. What am I doing? I'm exploring the topic of identity itself. And there's this great quote that I feel so true. To take advice from someone who hasn't done what you're attempting to do is definitely crazy. I definitely feel that. And it's a wild feeling because there are people in our lives, I'll speak privately, like there are, or I'll speak subjectively. There are people in my life who are in a social standing and they have developed wisdom and they are giving me advice as to how they would navigate what I'm navigating if they were me, and yet they haven't achieved the degree of realization, clarification, and actualization that I am attempting, that I am in the process of engaging in. But what that colloquialism misses, I feel, is that it doesn't acknowledge that sometimes someone might not have the whole picture, but they might have part of the picture. And having part of the picture might be really helpful to you navigating what you're navigating. Like they might not have all of the answers for everything you're navigating, but they might have one piece of wisdom that's super integral and helpful in what you're navigating. And so get off of your high horse, let your ego soften and become subtle to the nuanced way that the light is moving through the facets of your diamond body and into your heart, and may illuminate a particular blind spot or an aspect of your shadow. So yeah, something like that. I'm using my social media in a kind of way that I don't even feel very hyper attached to anymore, but I'm exploring the components of my own fabric of self, and all of it, not just emphasizing the positive, because it really does feel like social media encourages us to share the highlight reel of who we are. But if we share too much about the negative, or maybe that's a program I have running that's not serving. Maybe it's really helpful for people to see that, wow, you're not perfect, and you're really like rubbing up against the edges of your sense of reality, and that is identity. Your sense of reality, your sense of perspective in the world is diffusing. And that sense of perspective, what is perspective? Perspective could be like, at least how I see it right now, is it's the eyeball before the telescope, or it's the singular collapsed point of entrance into vision or entrance into awareness, which then awareness can be wide. You know what I mean? Imagine you got tunnel vision, it's like that, it's just very narrow. Your field of attention, your field of focus is narrow, as opposed to otherwise it can open up. There's probably a geometry term here that would be helpful to reference that I don't know about, but your sense of perspective starts in a very singular point, that I am, and then it floods out, and your sense of community, this is where Raja and Kriya Yoga and self-realization is incredibly helpful, and Christianity never assisted me with any kind of terminology for this particular reality. The sense of I am, the mental body, the koshas, the sheaths of sense of self, the body awareness, the emotional awareness, the mental awareness. Then there's the community awareness, your tribal community, your global, these different tribes and segments of your life and your social life that you participate in. But they're all these like matryoshka dolls, sheaths of self, until it travels into the most inward sense of singular identity. So when we're talking about the exploration of identity, we're talking about something that is not super freaking obvious. It's complicated. It in itself is a complicated topic. So what am I exploring? I'm exploring that. So when I make music and I put that out, when I make philosophy or express philosophy, put that out, do yoga practice, explore my family identity, explore my romantic identity, my spiritual identity, all of these are identity. And I think it's so wild that the world has come to a point where brand identity has to be singular. You go to someone's Instagram page and they only do one thing, and then they're just doing that one thing every post is that same thing. I found this dude he makes alcoholic drink mixes in the car and says stuff that's like funny, but he's like from the hood, and he's got this kind of off the cuff, cool, relatable feeling to him, but he's also got face tattoos. And I used to be an alcoholic, but now I make drink mixes and I don't drink alcohol. Every post, hundreds of posts that are just that. And he's gone viral like multiple times doing that. And I was like, whoa, what am I even looking at? Saw this other guy the other day watching Instagram Reels with Belle. What are you guys doing tonight? We're gonna sit on the couch and watch Instagram Reels together. Family night, family scroll night. And we saw this dude laying on a skateboard, and every single post is him laying on a skateboard, like the camera's like this, and he's laying on a skateboard, so the ground is like moving behind him, and he has a different meal on his chest, and he's like saying some type of motivational self-improvement, I guess you could say, like wisdom expression. But every video was that. I was like, whoa. And people are like, niche down. Yeah, I get that. Tony Robbins is a niche, Eckhart Tolle is a niche, Alan Watts is a niche, Michael Jordan's a niche. But you know what? Michael Jordan had to go and try baseball. Michael Jordan had to play golf. And yeah, he was basketball for that degree. Kobe was basketball for that degree of his life, and then it turned into entertainment and film and other stuff. But it's not just the basketball, it's physical stuff, it's the mentality stuff. Then you got another basketball player who might be less mentality stuff and more fashion stuff. So that's the normalization right there of two things. Two-ness as opposed to oneness. When I see brands like that are just hyper one thing, I'm sure there's a certain degree that it feels easy to mentally grok who and what they are. But for people, I don't know a single person who only does one thing. And when we use social media to do that, I feel like there is something happening in our collective that hasn't quite figured itself out yet. I'm not claiming that I figured it out. I'm claiming that I don't really love how it feels when the world tells you to just be one thing, because I don't think it's natural. I don't think it's natural, and I don't think it's possible. Because even if you do one thing and then you're successful at that one thing, it's natural to evolve. It's unnatural to not evolve. It's natural to expose ourselves to what is most intriguing and interesting to our evolutionary potential. That is something I've found. So I make music, fashion, film, and while I'm doing that, my artistic process benefits from my spiritual, mental, philosophical improvement and exploration. So those are some things I noticed. I'm getting the eye from my wife. It's time to go. Sending you love wherever you are. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks. Talk soon. Boop.